And
This is survival of the fittest. This is do or die. This is the winner takes it all, so take it all. So take it all.
Welcome to the Fantasy Football Fanatics podcast with your hosts Griffin Palmer, CJ Hickman, Jason Cabrera, and Ryan Mitchell.
what is up, everybody? Welcome to the show. It is Tuesday, August 22nd. This is the Fantasy Football Fanatics podcast. I'm your host, Griffin Palmer, joined as always by CJ the Hitman Hickman and Jason Cabrera. What is up, fellas?
Hello.
Hello.
Draft season is here.
I cannot wait. It is officially draft week. Statistically, the vast majority of drafts, especially anyone who is smart and listens, will be drafting this weekend on through the beginning of week one. Statistically, this coming Saturday is the single highest draft day. Our draft is the following day on Sunday. I can't wait. So yeah, I mean, we've been building this up for 8.5 months now, and it's finally here. Oh man. So
The time has come.
That being said, though, I know we have all partaken in drafts recently. I thought it'd be kind of fun to run down some of our, again, if you've drafted to this point, it's not recommended. But, things happen. Different leagues go at different times. I just did a league this past week, and I could not be happier with my team. I'm going to run down my team real quick. We haven't done this before.
Do it.
This is going to be off the top. I want to know what you guys' thoughts are. I got Phillip Rivers as my quarterback. I have David Johnson and Isaiah Crowell. I have AJ Green and Michael Thomas. I know, right? I have Julius Thomas in my tight end. And then from flex/bench, I have Brandon Marshall, Eddie Lacy, Doug Martin, Joe Mixon, Jamal Williams, Devontae Parker, Terrell Pryor.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Pretty good. That's a championship team you built there, my friend.
I think that team is ridiculously stacked, and I have nothing but upside at the running back position. They're just going to get better as the season goes on. I got a lot of upside at wide receiver. I think my wide receiving core is definitely my weakness, but there's plenty of guys I could pick up off the waiver wire, but a lot of upside there, and I'm going to probably bundle some of these guys to trade to move up. But, I figured I didn't need to focus on wide receiver since I got A.J. Green and Michael Thomas early in second, third round, because Michael Thomas fell in this league. So I was like, okay, let's do that. Actually, they both fell.
And you ended up with Terrell Pryor. That's pretty decent.
Yeah, I think I ended up actually getting him because in this league, there's a lot of, that's kind of the fun with like friends and family leagues, that people who aren't quite as hardcore, these guys fall for like no reason, and it's like none of them wanted to draft Redskins players. So I got him, I think it was like the 8th or 9th round. So I was like, yep, that's too good of value. I'm not really a huge Terrell Pryor fan, but that's way too good of value. So, yep, going to grab him. I'm pretty sure I got Jamal Williams in the 15th round, so that was my nice like upside sleeper rookie, and I got plenty of good stuff. So I'm excited about this team. I think this is going to be a comfortable return to the championship in that league. CJ, I know you've done a mock, or not a mock. You've done a draft already. You want to run down your team?
Sure. I have Phillip Rivers as my quarterback.
Hey, buddy.
I got Melvin Gordon, Paul Perkins as my running backs. Wide receivers are Alshon Jeffrey and Tyreek Hill. Tight end is Kyle Rudolph. And my flex, I have Willie Snead and Joe Mixon. Eagles defense, Hopkins, the kicker from Washington. And then my bench, John Brown, unfortunately, Doug Martin, Nelson Aguilar, Julius Thomas, Tegan Jr., and David Njoku.
There you go.
That's decent.
Yeah, it's a solid team full of depth right there. Jason, you've done one too, haven't you?
I have indeed. I just wanted to do one early to see how my early rankings would shake out through the season.
Right.
So, funny enough, Phillip Rivers is my quarterback.
Hey,
hat trick. How did that happen?
Sweet for Phillip Rivers. I ended up as the number 1 overall pick, so I got David Johnson.
Hey.
My other running back is Marshawn Lynch.
I did
My wide receivers are Des Bryant and Glenn Tate. My tight end is Jimmy Graham. Tyreek Hill is my flex. The Texans is my defense. I also got Dustin Hopkins from Washington as my kicker. And then on my bench, I've got Amir Abdullah, Doug Martin, Willie Snead, John Brown, Kareem Hunt, Carson Palmer, and Eric Ebron round out the bench.
There you go. I like it. I got AJ Green and Michael Thomas at wide receiver, like I said, but I was so mad because Jordy Nelson was falling as well, and you know how much I liked him. He got sniped right before me, so I was on the turn. So I grabbed AJ Green, Michael Thomas back to back, and I was like, "Yep, I'll take the championship right there." That's 3 first round, second round players that I got in the first, second, and third rounds. I'll take that all day, every day. So, yep, pretty excited about that. What round? I know nobody cares about our fantasy leagues. I know, blah, blah, blah. But, this is what we do. Curiosity, where did you guys get Phillip Rivers? What round? Do you remember?
It was like late. It was like deep in the rounds. I think like round 10 or 11 I got him.
All right. Jason, you remember where you got him?
I picked him up in round 12, and then I got Carson Palmer in the 15th.
There you go. And I got Phillip Rivers in the 13th round. So, look, there we go. Value late. All right. Well, I like those teams. It'll be fun to see how they all play out when the season ends. This is, we do mock draft shows throughout the season, and now you got to see us. We used our philosophies, everything we've been preaching, talking, our rankings. We used them in an actual draft. Our teams came out to a lot of things that we've been saying, and, to further back this up, we're going to be doing a number of mock draft episodes as well. Next week, I think we have 2 of them lined up, so we're going to do like a standard and a PPR. So it should be a lot of fun. Let's get through draft season. But anyway, for today, of course, back to the main show, we have an amazing show for you guys today. Today, we're going to be continuing to take a look at the wide receiver position. Of course, bringing you all the top headlines from around the league, but we're going to be getting through our wide receiver 2s today. We did wide receiver 1s on Friday. Now we get to it where it's going to be a little bit spicier, I think, because things are getting a little bit too spicy for the pepper, as they say. But I love American Dad. But the top guys are generally the same. Same with the running backs. There's a little bit of a difference when you get to the lower end of the number ones, and the order might mix up, but it's a pretty unanimous group. The 2s are where it gets very diverse very quickly. So this should be a lot of fun to go through those guys. As we mentioned, top headlines from around the league as well today. A lot to get to, so we're going to try and power through. As always, please make sure you guys subscribe to the show wherever you are listening, on iTunes, Stitcher, Podcast Addict. If you're looking at me right now on YouTube, easiest way to keep up to date with the shows as they break. Or if you want news in between shows, make sure you give us a follow on Twitter at the FF Fanatics. Most importantly of all, of course, make sure you guys give us a follow on Patreon at patreon.com/thefantasyfootballfanatics. Get yourself a bunch of bonus content, including an additional advanced show every single week. And just putting this out there, the Listener League, we had a person who has not responded yet. So, hey, that spot is now up for grabs. We started opening that up on Friday, and we already have some submissions. If you want to be in the Listener League, comment down below, send an iTunes review, whatever you want to do. We're going to give you guys 2 days. So this is airing today on Tuesday. We're going to pick the person on Thursday, and we're going to put out officially, for everyone who's in, welcome to the league. And we're going to send out the survey to find out what you guys want to do, whether it's an auction league, a snake draft, standard, half point, full point PPR, 6 point per passing touchdown, IDP, so on and so on and so forth, free agent acquisition budget, the works. So we're going to figure out the format, and then the draft is going to be a week from today. So it will be Tuesday the 29th. So
shout out to Will, the defending champion.
Yes, Will.
He feels a little neglected. We haven't really talked about him a lot. So there you go, Will. There's your shot.
I don't know why we gave him a shout out and congratulations on the show, but hey, congratulations again, Will.
He wants more.
He wants more. I mean, okay, he won the league. We'll give that to him. Is
that how that works?
Apparently.
Is that how that works? You complain and you get a shout out? Okay, I got it.
Apparently in CJ's world, because he did it. No, I'm just kidding.
Pretty much.
Squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? But no,
there you go.
Will won the league last year, so a fan who gets to he saved his spot. He's able to return again this year and try and defend his title, so that should be half the fun. But we're going to move on to our warm-up question of the day, and this is simply, what players are rising or falling for you at this point, having been through 2 weeks of the preseason? I will start first, and a player who is falling for me, and I've been defending this guy all offseason, and that is one Blake Bortles. Oh, Blake. So anyone who's watched the preseason and been listening to the reports and everything that we're seeing, hearing, and is being reported, he no longer has a grasp of the starting job. He is in a full-on competition, taking, it's a 50-50 split, even in reps right now, Blake Bortles and Chad Henne, because Blake Bortles is going out, and it looks like the confidence he lost last season, he did not regain. Allen Robinson has looked awesome. He's been making awesome separation. He's been getting open, but then the ball is massively overthrown or about 15 yards shy. So,
like usual, I guess.
Huh?
Like usual, right? Overthrown balls and stuff.
I mean,
not really.
Not. He was mostly underthrown last year. Blake Bortles with his busted arm, but it's. I mean, okay, look, it was, but anyway, but. So I still think Allen Robinson is a good value. I mean, we had him in our top 12. I am already toying with the idea of moving him down my rankings, though. So, I mean, if you want to see our updated rankings, of course, you can always check them on the website, thefantasyfootballfanatics.com. But, it's concerning at this point because I am sure on volume alone, he's still going to give you at least safely a wide receiver 2 floor. But his ceiling now, to me, is kind of in question. He's making great separation, but the ball's not thrown within anywhere near him. I mean, he can't do much about that. He can't throw the ball to himself. So this is concerning to me. I'm hoping that it's just preseason. I hope it's just jitters. I hope that this is just the vanilla offense that's not really working. Whatever the case may be. But it's causing me to have some concern for Allen Robinson. And so, therefore, Blake Bortles is the one that's massively falling for me because, he, as I've said multiple times, he was a quarterback 1 each of the last 2 years. But, I mean, his falling is going to affect that entire offense. So, Blake Bortles is a player who is concerning me now for all of Jacksonville for fantasy purposes moving forward. CJ, why don't you go next?
A guy that's rising to me is a guy that I was near dear to my heart last year, and that's Mr. Adam Thielen. I'm liking the maturity and the next level of the growth that I've been seeing with him and Sam Bradford. I think this is going to be a special year for Adam Thielen, and that's why he's on my rising board, man. Look out for some Thielen.
All right, Jason.
All right. Well, let's see. I watched the Raiders, and watching the Raiders, someone who got on the rise for me was Amari Cooper. Just an absolutely ridiculous catch he had where Derek Carr just kind of backed up and just kind of went, I'm going to put this up in the air, you go get it. Triple coverage, and Amari Cooper went up there, got it.
Double coverage.
It was triple. There were 3 guys. Go back and
one guy ran into the other one. Come on now. Listen, it was 2 guys.
Still triple coverage.
Still 3 bodies
over 3
there,
guys,
CJ.
He went up.
Over
3 guys.
One guy ran into the other. It was 2 guys.
Got the ball and brought it down over 3 dudes. That was a heck of a play.
Just 2 guys.
And it's scary. You can keep saying it under your breath all you want. You're still wrong.
I mean, people can actually watch the video and see that it was only really 2 guys. I'm just saying.
No, there were 3 guys there.
Oh my God, let's move on. CJ just likes to cause problems.
So anyway, bottom line is when your quarterback gets to a point where he trusts you so much that he will throw into multiple coverage and you still come down with that ball, that is scary for anybody in that division. So I think Amari Cooper is looking to have a very good year.
Could be. Next guy for me who is also falling is one LeGarrette Blount. Everything seems to be not going well there, and we're going to be getting to this a little bit more later on in the news, but I mean, everything from they're making him kind of stretch zone scheme stuff where he is a north-south runner, doesn't seem to be clicking. We've been hearing bad camp reports. We've been hearing that he might be not only losing the starting job, but not make the team at all. Just a lot of concern here for LeGarrette Blount. So a guy who a lot of people were hoping that could I mean, I don't think any of us were expecting him to repeat last year's numbers with the Patriots, especially the touchdown totals. But we're expecting him on volume and opportunity to have a decent running back 2 floor. Looking like that might not be the case. So LeGarrette Blount is someone that I'm definitely cooling on right now. CJ, next guy for you.
My next guy, Christian McCaffrey. He's rising, man. Listen. He's got. If you have eyes, you see this dude and the talent that he is. And now what I'm seeing with him in this offense, and not even using the passing game, but he's running between the tackles and he's looking explosive in that position, man. I'm loving what I'm seeing out of Christian McCaffrey, and I can't wait to see Week 3. And that's why he's rising to me, man.
All right, Jason.
You know, I'm going to go with another riser, Todd Gurley, actually, surprisingly enough. I watched the game, and he actually looked good. He looked spry. He was hitting the hole hard, and that offensive line was actually giving him some running lanes. So it was nice to see Todd Gurley actually be able to do something. So that raises him up a bit in my mind.
All right. One player who I am rising on, and yes, I know it's an incredibly small sample size. It's literally just from last week, but he caught my eye playing against my Ravens, is Devontae Parker. I know. I was very high on him last year, but look, everything is pointing in the right direction. He is that, high-end, prototypical wide receiver build and frame. He is very athletic. He has a quarterback who loves to lock into one guy, and we saw it both in real life in the game. He was targeted 4 times in 2 drives, 2 very short drives, mind you. So, extrapolate that out, so that's huge. And, Jay Cutler, who has a long history of locking onto one guy, and then went out and said that this guy is literally just a faster Alshon Jeffrey. And we all know how much he loved to lock onto Alshon. So, to me, it was an incredibly small sample size. I am not giving him a massive bump in my rankings at all because I need to see more, but it is something that definitely caught my eye. It's a guy that I've liked for years, and that is all the measurables. Ryan Tannehill was not the guy to heave the ball downfield. Jay Cutler is that guy, so I'm definitely rising on Devontae Parker. CJ?
I'm sorry, Jason's over here distracting me with a stupid picture of a guy running in to his other player. Right there.
Again,
thank you very much.
There, so.
A guy that I'm falling on is Jordan Matthews, a beloved Eagle that got traded to the Bills. Reason why he's falling, he hasn't been on the field. Dude got injured. Yeah. He's losing time with the quarterback and got their chemistry going on. And he's a slot receiver, and they're going to want him to play on the outside, and that's not his position. And now with Anquan Bolden being retired, man, there goes another distraction that's now is coming focused back on him. And he needs more talent around him so he can be able to flourish. He's not that guy that he is the talent that makes everybody better. So, Jordan Matthews, I'm sorry, buddy. You're falling on my list, man. You're falling.
Yep.
Yeah.
Last guy,
bad.
Jason?
And then it's amazing timing on that, him getting hurt.
I know.
I'll give you a faller. For me, it's Brandon Cooks. And bottom line is, it's just because I haven't seen him do anything. He had one catch for 7 yards in this last game. Where's he at? He's supposed to be burning people up and running up and down the field. So I'm a little, they need him out there catching the ball from Tom Brady so they can get that rhythm down together, because this is supposed to be his number one guy. So I'm a little concerned. I have not seen more Tom Brady to Brandon Cooks action. So he's falling in my mind.
All right. So those are some risers and fallers for us for after week 2, heading into week 3 of the preseason. So with that, let's move on to our top headlines from around the league. Start with some quarterback news, where Carolina Panthers quarterback Cam Newton is throwing during team drills during camp as of yesterday on Monday. So that's a good sign for Cam Newton being ready for the season. Of course, recovering from shoulder surgery on his throwing arm. You guys have all the faith in the world that Cam Newton's going to be ready for the start of the season? I do.
Nope.
Sure.
Yes and no. All right, let's get into some debate here.
Yes, he'll be ready to play. Will he be ready to play well? No.
Well, that wasn't really the question, but yeah.
Well, that was the question.
I'll tell you.
Just able to start. Look, we're all low on Cam Newton in our rankings, so yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I think he will start the season. Let's move on to Kansas City, where Kansas City Chiefs head coach Andy Reid, when he was asked about rookie quarterback Patrick Mahomes and the possibility of him starting, he said, and I quote, "It's Alex's job. There is no gray area," end quote. So, guys, what are your thoughts here?
Why are they even asking this question?
Because Patrick Mahomes has looked very good in preseason, and Alex Smith has looked like Alex Smith.
That's great. You don't sit down the winningest quarterback in the league over the last 3 years, okay? And that's the bottom line with Alex Smith. You can not like his skills, you can not like what he does, but he wins. He wins games. And you don't go away from the hot hand when you've got a hot hand. It's great they've got Patrick Mahomes. I am jealous of the fact that they've got Patrick Mahomes. I really like that kid. He's going to be a great starter. But for right now, Alex Smith is still, as you say, Alex Smith. So this shouldn't even be asking about this.
CJ, anything to add?
Well, I'm just saying I think it's just a conversation reporters want to bring up, but it's something to actually. if this was like Patrick Mahomes year 2, then I think this is a legit question. I mean, him as a rookie, I don't think this is he's not going to be able to get out there on the field unless Alex Smith gets injured. But if this is this, like I'm saying, hypothetically, this was his year 2, I can see it because once again, you see the history with Kansas City. Look, granted, everything that Alex Smith has done for this team is absolutely phenomenal. They made him with Andy Reid made this team relevant again. They've been putting out and producing some good seasons, but they kind of like continue to hit their ceiling when they hit to the playoffs, and they're kind of either one and done or they get to the next round and then they just flat and they don't do anything. So you got to look at yourself and say, hey, look, I think this is as far as we're going to be able to go with Alex Smith is just playoffs, first round, second round, but we want to go further. So that's why they drafted the rookie and hopefully get him up and running when Alex Smith gets out and he can insert the kid.
I mean, like we talked about before, there's a lot of rumbles out there that this is, and here we're hearing, this is Alex Smith's, I can't talk. This is Alex Smith's job, but a lot of people are thinking that Patrick Mahomes will be the starter as early as next season, and Alex Smith will be on the way out. So we'll see how it plays out. It'll be interesting to watch this season. Let's move on to Denver, where 104.3 The Fan in Denver's Brandon Stokely reported that the Denver Broncos will name Trevor Siemian as their starting quarterback. Not too terribly surprised. We've been hearing this as the rumor from many other sources. So does Trevor Siemian being named the starter, how does that affect your rankings? Was this what you guys were expecting? Were you hoping for the upside of Paxton Lynch when you're doing your wide receiver rankings? What are your guys' thoughts here?
I was hoping for the upside of Paxton Lynch just because the running quarterback element to fantasy football that is great for fantasy football. Trevor Siemian, I mean, I can just hope for a better second season at him being a starter. The first one was kind of up and down, and I just need to see more. I mean, right now it's like that offense is just blah to me, So I need to see something else.
Jason,
it's unfortunate, and it's what I expected. I thought Trevor Siemian would end up being the starter. I would rather them go with Paxton Lynch as CJ said, I don't like running quarterbacks. That's not why I want him there. But I think he's got a higher upside for sure. And it doesn't change my rankings at all because, like I said, this is what I was expecting, and I think we're going to see more of that vanilla offense out of Denver.
Vanilla.
Will have to agree. I mean, there's a change. Obviously, we've talked about this extensively. We even posted our Patreon show about the effect of the new coaches and all the new places. But yeah, this is a team that is going to most likely lean pretty heavily on the run. So I think that Trevor Siemian being in there definitely caps the upside to the players. The floor may be a little bit higher, but the ceiling is definitely limited. So, not surprised. Also would not be surprised if we see a change in quarterback as early as a quarter of the way through the season. They're going to go with the hot hand, I think, here. I think they're committing to Trevor Siemian. That's going to give him a lot of confidence. That's what they want going to the season. But I think if he starts to struggle, this is a team that invested some capital to get Paxton Lynch last year, so I could easily see them making a switch eventually. The question is when, if at all. So we'll see.
You think they're gonna do like what Houston did? Like what was that? Like 2 years ago with Hoyer and Savage? They just kept going back and forth. They'll take one out and then the other one would finish the rest of the game.
It's possible, but that is horrific for continuity and all the work with the quarterbacks and the wide receivers and their timing.
For some reason, it worked for them though. It was so weird.
That's
so weird.
I mean, I don't know. We'll see. It's possible. I could also see this maybe going the way of San Francisco under Jim Harbaugh, where Alex Smith went down with an injury, and then he gave the job to Colin Kaepernick and never gave it back. So who knows? We'll see. Or maybe this will just be Simeon's job the whole year long, and we will be just watching this as, casual observers and being very disappointed about the upside potential of all the pass-catching options in Denver. We'll see. Time will tell. Let's move on to the running back position, where in Chicago, the Chicago Bears running back Jordan Howard suffered a corneal abrasion in a walkthrough. He did not travel with the team to Arizona, of course. This injury has been considered a minor one. Now, for those of you who don't know what that is essentially when you scratch your eye, and most commonly it causes discomfort, sensitivity to light, things like that. So he's got to rest his eye, probably wear an eye patch, that kind of thing. So timetable is uncertain. What are you guys' thoughts here?
Yeah, a corneal abrasion is one of those things that looks horrific, but really is just a matter of time. It's going to heal, and everything will be fine. So I'm not concerned about it. Yeah, I'm just not concerned at all. Doesn't change anything.
So I got a couple weeks to heal. Get well soon, buddy.
I mean, yeah.
Heal it up. Heal it up.
This is a guy who, was the second leading runner. But so we hope that it's not long term, but most commonly it'll heal on its own by all accounts. I mean, I've had this injury before, and I was in an eye patch for I think it was like 3 days, and then you're basically better. So I mean, I don't think this has any long term effects. It's just going to affect him. Yes, he'll be a pirate for a little bit. But this will affect him just for a couple days. We're not doctors, just talking from experience and our knowledge of these injuries. His condition could be completely different, but we're hearing it was not a very dangerous deep scratch, so probably will be fine. He's just going to miss a little bit more of the preseason. For all we know, he will play in week 3 of the preseason. Who knows? Let's move on to now going back to Philadelphia. Now, this is all the news that we were talking about before when I was talking about LeGarrette Blount falling to me. And this report, again, coming out of Arizona, multiple reports saying that LeGarrette Blount has been dealing with now weight issues during Eagles camp. He has had a quote.
That's what I was going to say. Arizona. Did he get
Eagles
traded?
camp. Yep. Sorry. At Eagles camp. I only said Philadelphia. How many times? And he has, quote, disappointed in practice. So, I mean, CJ, you're an Eagles fan. I'm going to throw this to you. What's going on with LeGarrette Blount? What's your read? What are your thoughts? Is this guy going to have a role on this team?
I think he is. I mean, either way, it's not big of a cat hit if they did let him go. But I think right now he just has the most experience outside of Darren Sproles on this team in this running back room. And I know a lot of people have been talking of Wendell Smallwood, but I need to see more out of him in year 2, and again if he can get healthy and stay on the field. But I think reason why they brought LeGarrette Blount in is to be that goal line back. That's an area that we were very struggling in last year. And as far as I know, I don't need you to be that elusive to just run ahead 2 or 3 yards and get the ball in the end zone. So I'm okay if he's heavy. Hey, listen, use the other backs until we get in the red zone, and then pull a Fat Joe out of the bench and go do it. You know what I mean? So
I just don't understand why they're trying to get him to go lateral and do one-cut motions when this guy is and always has been a north-south runner. He's a red zone back.
I can't answer that question. That's a Doug Peterson question, and then he'll probably just say something stupid and then refer it back to Howie Roseman. But anyway, but me personally, I'm just saying this is what it is, and I wouldn't find it big of an issue. You're not drafting this guy high anyway, so I don't know why it would be a big problem with people.
Jason, what are your thoughts?
I kind of agree with CJ on this. I mean, this is not somebody that I'm looking at as being a lead back. He's like you said, he's going to be a gadget goal line type of player. As much as he did last year, that's fantastic. But it was the system that he was in and that kind of thing. So it doesn't really bother me all that much.
Well, I'll ask you this: would you guys take LeGarrette Blount as the 4th pick in the 5th round?
No, I just got No, I got to go lower than that.
No.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Probably no. 7th, 8th round.
Yeah, because I would say absolutely not even a chance. He's currently going as the 25th running back off the board, so he's your top option at the flex position. Yeah, I'm going to pass on that value, especially because, as I talked about at the warm-up, that there are now reports coming out saying that there is a possibility that they just move on from him. They don't keep him because he's not gelling, he's not fitting with the offense, with the scheme. And there are all these new reports suggesting that Wendell Smallwood could be the one that actually ends up winning the starting job here. So, I mean, hey, for all you guys tuned in right now, there's a sleeper for you to keep your eye on. He's a guy who's going widely undrafted. Let's move on to Houston, where Houston, Tennessee. What is wrong with me? Houston Texans head coach Bill O'Brien said that third-round rookie running back Deonta Foreman is, quote, a long way off, end quote, after last night's preseason games. So, good news for Lamar Miller, I would say. Less of a threat that he's going to be really eating to his touches. You guys concerned at all about this? Is this good news, bad news for you? This is good news for me, again, being a Lamar Miller fan, knowing Lamar Miller is going most commonly in the second round. I think most fantasy players are kind of hoping for this.
This doesn't change much for me. I mean, it's been 2 games of the preseason. He's a rookie, so it's going to take a little bit of maturation process. Lamar Miller's the guy. I don't think that's going to change until, if it changes at all, it won't change until later on in the season unless he gets injured.
Well, I mean, from what I saw of the game that he played, he broke off some good runs. So I mean, I don't know what they're talking about, but I mean, he is a rookie, so I can see him,
Well,
being
preliminary
a long way off when it
reports
comes to that.
are understanding reads, blitz pickup, pass protection, finding the right holes, being reading the plays right. Execution problems is what is, to my understanding, what the big problem has been. But we'll learn more, of course, as we go on. But so something to monitor. This could be, again, good news or bad news depending on your perspective. Because if he's not in, maybe Lamar Miller's getting run down more. So it's open for interpretation, but this is just what we're hearing. Let's move on to the wide receivers. We're in New York. Oh, man, this was a bad game. In New York, wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. left the game after a low hit. He went to the locker room. This has been reported since as an ankle sprain, the severity of which is yet to be reported. So, guys, what are your thoughts here? Is this something that's concerning you? Are we just hoping this is low ankle? Because obviously this could be dreaded high ankle. And if that's the case, it's going to probably affect into and through the first couple weeks of the season pretty easily. What are your thoughts?
Oh my gosh, I'm just so concerned.
Okay, maybe I shouldn't throw to the resident NFC East fan here. Let's go to Jason.
It's concerning. I mean, especially with somebody whose claim to fame is his hands and speed. This could affect his speed, so this is something we need to concern ourselves with. He said he was fine, but again, that's what he said, and he's not going to say I'm hurt. So it's something to definitely keep an eye on as we go forward. I doubt we'll see much playing from him. They're probably going to try to let him heal a little bit and save him for the season.
Yeah, I think we've seen the last of Odell Beckham Jr. for the preseason. Also, of course, in New York, he's up. Yep. Also in New York, wide receiver Brandon Marshall has been getting an X-ray on his shoulder after the game. So another thing that's kind of concerning as well. So something to monitor for sure. We don't have any more details as of recording the show. If you're listening right now, you may already know more. So check us on Twitter. Well, you might have updates. Let's move on to Houston, where DeAndre Hopkins has not practiced since August 9th, and this has been due to a hand injury. This is moving him down my board. Just saying, that's not reflected in some stuff we're going to talk about today, but I've been making some adjustments since. What are your guys' thoughts here?
Yeah, this is a little concerning. This hand injury, man, especially not practicing since all the way back then. Yes, time, was on the side earlier, but now as it's getting late and getting closer to the season, this is definitely an eyebrow raiser.
Yep. Jason?
Yeah, I mean, he was already down my board pretty far. This does not help his situation, so I'm very concerned.
All right. Let's move on to Dallas, where Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott said that his, quote, chemistry with wide receiver Dez Bryant has grown this offseason. So that's good because it better. I mean, you're going into year 2, and that's your top, by far, number 1 wide receiver, and you're going to be leaning on him a lot more this season than you did last year. Obviously, Ezekiel Elliott's going to be out for an unknown period of time. And as I've mentioned very extensively throughout the offseason, that defense took a massive hit. I believe they're going to be playing from behind a lot more. They're going to have to be airing it out more. Dez Bryant is going to be your main target. So you better work on your chemistry and get better rapport with him. I'm not throwing this to CJ. Jason, what are your thoughts?
Why not? I'd love to hear from CJ. Yeah, I saw it. Like I said, he was Dez is one of the risers, I think, for me. He scored a touchdown in the last game, and they've looked really good, and they looked good at the end of the season. I think that's something that's going to continue.
All right.
Yeah, I ain't gonna hate on Dak Prescott. I like the kid. I actually agree with him. I mean, that's something that's going to have to happen, especially with the pending situation going on with Zeke. So that's something that's going to happen. So I like it. This is something I saw from Dak last year when everybody was saying, singing the praises about Tony Romo, and I saw this kid. So I like this in this year too, and I like that they're growing together because it's needed. And if they do and they take off and have like a chemistry like a Rodgers and Jordy, I think this duo is going to be very dangerous.
Could be together for a while still. Let's move on to Buffalo, where Buffalo Bills wide receiver Jordan Matthews caught passes during individual drills on Sunday. Of course, he's dealing with a chipped sternum, I believe was the technical term.
AKA broken heart.
That's not what that is at all. Okay, well, CJ is not a doctor. Of course, this contests all the things that we've been hearing that he would not be ready for week 1. So, I mean, the timetable here is very up in the air because the whole concept of his injury, it has a lot of flexibility of the range of outcomes, and we haven't really heard much saying that he wants to be back. He thinks he will be back, but we just don't know. But I have to assume that him catching balls at all is good news. What are you guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, anything with a chip sternum situation is good. That means that he's already healing. He's already thinking about coming back. But it's concerning because it's a new team. He's got to form a rapport with this quarterback.
Yeah.
I'm not looking too heavily at him in drafts right now.
Yeah, it's very concerning, man. He's just missing time. I mean, yeah, I like the fight in him. I've always liked the dog in him, man. Just trying to get out there, but it's either one. It's one thing or other with this guy, man. It's the knee, before he left Philly, and now it's the cracked sternum. So he's getting brittle. He's getting very brittle to me.
I would have to agree, considering he got hurt day 1 of practicing with the new team. Let's move on to also in Buffalo, where wide receiver Anquan Bolden has decided to retire after 14 seasons. He's been there for about 2 weeks now, and honestly, he went into this situation. I have to assume he assumed that they were at least going to be competitive. And now, since then, they've offloaded their best receiver. They've offloaded their best defensive back. The wide receiver they brought in is injured. I have to assume that he's how old now? I don't have his age in front of me, but I know he's in his mid-30s almost. Why is he going to go out there and try and kill himself for a team that's not going to go anywhere? I mean, the team has basically all but said that they are playing for 2018. They're acquiring draft picks. They are all but committing to Tyrod Taylor as well. They have an out in his contract after this year. So, I mean, maybe Anquan saw the writing on the wall and decided that it just wasn't worth it. What are you guys' thoughts?
If I can be honest here, I think that the thing that did it, the straw that broke the camel's back, is when you come out and basically said that Tyrod Taylor and LaShawn McCoy are available for the right price.
That's true. They did say that.
When you say that, dude, come on, enough is enough. The foolishness has to end, and I'm out of here. Ain't no way in the world I'm going to be out here playing with no backup quarterback that needs to be bagging groceries. And then you got me out here with nothing, absolutely no talent now on the offense. Oh no, I'm gone, man. I'm out of here. I'm out.
Jason?
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it's sad for me. I'm big Anquan Bolden. Anquan, that's what they're doing. They're folding. Anquan Bolden fan. You too, Griffin. He played for both our teams, and
yes,
he was
did.
Awesome for both of our teams.
Essential to our Super Bowl win.
Absolutely, and he's just one of those players that he's just a tough player. He catches the ball, hard to bring down. He loves the game. It's sad to see him go out this way. It is on his own terms, so I guess that's good, but I think he had 1 or 2 good seasons left in him.
I agree. I mean, this is a guy who had 8 touchdowns last year, coming into a new system, and 600 yards basically and 8 touchdowns. That's awesome. And I was right. He's 36. Yes, he is. He is 36 years old. He will be 37 in October. So I mean, I have to assume he was just like it's not worth it. He's going to put his body on the line for no possible outcome of getting a second ring. So I don't fault him at all. he's in a bad situation. And we've talked about this extensively. Everything we've been hearing out of Buffalo has been negative. And I'm sorry, Buffalo Bills fans out there, but it's true. The team is all but conceding this year. So, again, not surprised. And last bit of wide receiver news we want to cover is that Arizona Cardinals wide receiver John Brown has returned to practice as of yesterday on Monday. Coming back, the report said a quad injury. I thought he had a hamstring. Jason, what are your thoughts?
No, it was quad.
Yeah, well, maybe I'm thinking of someone else.
It was a quad. It was attributed to the sickle cell thing. This is good news, and I heard more out of camp today. They said that John Brown practiced. He looked really good. He felt really good. They only gave him one practice. He's got to go to deal with a family issue, so he's going to meet the team in Atlanta. But what they're saying is that they are, quote, pretty sure he's going to play this next game.
All right. Well, that's good news there. Let's move on to the tight end position where Washington Redskins have activated tight end Jordan Reed off the PUP. So Jordan Reed slides right into our tight end too, right? Right.
No,
No.
not
Okay.
even a little bit at all.
I'm sorry. I misread that.
Yeah. Look, if you draft him, if he's healthy, he starts for you. That's the way it works. But
he's a required taste, Jordan Reed. How about that one?
A required? You mean an acquired? Because
Acquired,
he's one of those guys.
No, he's
like
required. You will take it's not even an acquired taste because when he plays, there's no acquired taste. He's awesome. The problem is he's not even available to be served to you, so you don't even get to taste it. It's like, I'm sorry, we're out of that. That's how it is. So if he's healthy, like what Griffin said, but I still haven't seen that yet, so I'm not taking a chance.
I mean, this is a guy who, on most people's board, is by far and safely to say the number 2 tight end in the league for fantasy production, but he has never played a full season. So, I mean, for us as a show, he's our number 5. And honestly, you could probably debate moving him down a spot or two. So, I mean, it's just one of those things. Like, if he's on your team and he's healthy, he starts for you. But I'm not drafting him as the second tight end off the board. So, I'm sorry. If he falls to me for the right price in an auction league, sure, why not? Let's do this. But I'm not investing heavy capital in a guy who I can't rely on week in and week out. Last bit of tight end news. Eric Ebron, Detroit Lions tight end, Eric Ebron, he still has not returned to camp. He's missed pretty much the majority of this past week with a hamstring injury, so time will tell. With that, let's move on to our topic of the day. We are already 40 minutes into the show, so we're going to try and get through this relatively quickly, but this is our consensus wide receiver ranks part 2. Look, we can dream, right? Now, so I'm not going to run down the top 12 players. If you guys want to know who those players were, go back and listen to Friday's show. There was a lot of good debate, conversation, arguments, and statistics that went into those rankings, so we'd be doing you a disservice by just listing them off rapid fire. So we're going to start with the top of our wide receiver 2s. At number 13, we have Michael Crabtree, Oakland Raiders. Now, he is unanimously our 14th ranked receiver across the board, making him fall in number 13 for us, strangely enough. But we are definitely high on him as a show. He's 13 for us. He's going on average as the 22nd wide receiver off the board, as the 11th pick in the 4th round. Guys, why is there no love for Michael Crabtree, which obviously we all have a very different opinion on?
I don't know, man. It's very weird. I mean, I think people are like kind of like Jason, man. They love Amari Cooper and thinking that this is the 3rd year and magical and rainbows and whatever like that. But Michael Crabtree has been very consistent ever since he came to Oakland, man, and linked up with Derek Carr. Man, these dudes have been rocking and having solid seasons year after year, and I love what Derek Carr has done to Michael Crabtree's game, and Crabtree has shown that he was that dude in San Francisco before he hit that terrible game with the Seattle Seahawks that ruined him. He was that good receiver, and he's been getting better and better. So I'm not understanding the hate or the non-respect for Crabtree that he should be getting.
Jason? What are your thoughts here? You, because CJ, you rose on him from the last time we did this. Jason, you actually bumped him down to 14, so you were higher on him. Was there a reason he jumped down, or is it just the players around him that bumped him down to 14 for you?
It's just the players around him. I actually am a big a fan of Michael Crabtree. I actually had him in. I was considering making him a wide receiver 1. I mean, he's a 1,000-yard receiver last year. I think that mainly it's just, like I said, it's the moving players around him. It's the fact that Amari Cooper is looking so good and will probably end up playing very, very well this year and taking a step forward, at least from my perspective. But I really do like Michael Crabtree. He's in the same mold in my mind as kind of Anquan Bolden. He's not going to be the number one guy with all the huge, massive statistics, but he's going to have a very high floor. He's always going to be able to get you some points game to game. So I really like Crabtree. I don't understand the hate.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get it either. Like you said, this guy has been very, very good, and both of you said this, since he got to Oakland. He's had almost 1,000 yards. Well, he topped 1,000 yards last year. He's gotten around 8 to 9 touchdowns both years. I mean, he has been very, very productive for them. And yes, he is Amari Cooper. Okay, spoiler alert. Amari Cooper is number 14 for us, which almost everyone would have flip-flopped. But I think, at least for us, our thought process here is, Michael Crabtree is a much higher floor player. The ceiling may be a little bit more limited. He's not used as much for big plays, but he's used heavily in the red zone. He is the most targeted wide receiver on the team. He gets you a nice volume. Therefore, his floor is way better than Amari Cooper's. I just cannot for the life of me understand why people are having him go as the 22nd, barely a wide receiver too, when this guy was, again, a 1,000-yard receiver, 8 touchdowns last year, and all the players that they brought in around him are going to be more of a competition for Amari Cooper because they play different roles. Amari Cooper goes deep. He does the 9 routes, the posts, and Michael Crabtree does a lot of the intermediate stuff. So I just don't understand for the life of me. Michael Crabtree, and we say this all the time, when one of these guys go, start looking for the other one, because whichever one goes second is the value there. Yes, Amari Cooper has the much higher ceiling, but he is also, and we covered this in our recap show way back in, I think it was like February, that Amari Cooper was one of the most inconsistent players week to week. He finished as high as he did because he had massive boom games, but he also had games where he completely disappeared. So we can transition into number 14 now. Let's talk about Amari Cooper. Also, Oakland Raiders, of course. He's going considerably higher, though. Everyone is expecting this big breakout year. He is going as the 9th wide receiver off the board, as the 9th pick in the second round. We have him as our consensus number 14, and I think this is borderline risk aversion. I'm actually the highest on him, which shocks me. I thought for sure it would be one of you guys, and I think it's because, like you guys have said, I gave him a bump because of everything that we are hearing. It's a magical third year. He's been looking great in camp. He's been having a very good production. He's been flashing in the preseason games, yada, 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 but we won't know until we actually see it in a game. Would I take him with the 12th pick? Yes. Would I take him as my wide receiver 1, as I would probably have to do with the 9th pick in the second round, because that means I probably went with a running back early, or maybe he would be my second wide receiver, depending. Probably not. I wouldn't be comfortable with Amari Cooper being my number 1 wide receiver because of consistency issues. What are your guys' thoughts here?
I am also surprised that I'm not I thought I was going to be the highest on him.
I did too.
But yeah, as you said, that the big thing with him is risk aversion because he's been so inconsistent. And people have been saying, "Oh, he hasn't done what everyone expected him to do. They thought he was going to be better and all that stuff." But you know what? He's only been in the league 2 years, and like I said, I think this third year is his breakout year. And the fact that they've got the best situation as far as their running game that they have had with him on the team is good. It's going to take pressure off the throwing game, and it wasn't really pressured anyway because they had the best one of the best O-lines in the league, so there wasn't pressure there anyway. But I think we're going to see a breakout season from him this year, and I'm kind of excited.
CJ?
Listen, I wouldn't take him as my wide receiver 1 if I was picking 9th. I might consider it, in the third round if he's there for me. I'll probably do that. But overall, as the player, I just need to see it. I mean, you guys hit the nail on the head when it comes to inconsistency. That's a one big draw away from him with Amari Cooper. But the talent is there. It's just I need him to just keep it together and let it be consistent and be on the same level as Crabtree. If it was, then this will not even be a factor. We wouldn't even be talking like this. I mean, it would just be all love across the board. But until that's the case, I'm just not. He's not on my radar, basically. I mean, just to be honest.
All right. So again, a lot of upside, lower floor. Michael Crabtree, maybe lesser ceiling, but definitely higher floor. So I mean, we got them 13, 14 respectively. You could flip flop these in your rankings, and it would be completely justified. But I mean, I think people as a whole, looking at their average draft position, are way too low on Michael Crabtree, and honestly, I think a little bit high on Amari Cooper. Could he return on that value? Absolutely. But like we're all saying, I'm not drafting him there just because, again, as the 9th pick in the second round, so you're coming up on the turn. That means he's either my wide receiver 1 because I went running back in the first, or I went wide receiver in the first, which in that case, I'd probably be looking running back because the running back talent dries up very, very quickly once you start getting to the late second, early third rounds. So, I mean, I wouldn't be looking for Amari Cooper probably either way based on where he's going right now. But, if you take him, you could easily return on that value. It's just probably not going to be what I do. So for that, let's move on to a guy who I loathe entirely. Yet I am by far the highest on, and I just don't know what's wrong with me. It is the guy who cost me a championship in our League of Record last year, and yet I still have him because I apparently need some sort of brain surgery as a wide receiver 1, Davante Adams. He is, for me,
the best player on CJ's team.
Yes, he was. He is, for me, the number 11 wide receiver on my board. CJ is in the middle at 18. Jason all the way down at 21. I wish I could justify putting him down at 21 based on what he's... I have sworn him off multiple years in a row, and I've been burned by him multiple years in a row. But bottom line, I just can't get away from the stats. This guy had an amazing breakout third year last year, his magical third season. He had 75 receptions, just 3 yards under a 1,000-yard season, 12 touchdowns. He is the number 2 receiver in what is an Aaron Rodgers-led offense. So this is a team that throws the ball in the red zone, in the 10 zone more than any other team in the league times 3. So, and this is a team that has shown that it has the efficiency to put up multiple number 1, or at least a number 1 and a very high-end number 2 wide receiver year in and year out. They've added to the running game, which I think will take pressure off the wide receivers, making it even easier for them to get open, because all any team did last year was drop back into coverage, and they still had this amazing season. And Davante Adams took a big step forward with his rapport with Aaron Rodgers. And, a guy who I've been a big fan of for years, Randall Cobb, took a big step backwards. Now, Randall Cobb was hurt last year. You can make a big argument that, he's going to come back and be healthy, but I don't think that they're competing for the role. Jordy Nelson is the guy there. He does all the phases of the offense. He goes deep, he does the short, he does the intermediate, he does everything. He is the guy. Davante Adams, though, actually had more yards per catch last year than Jordy Nelson did. He was more of a deep threat. He was used very, very well in the red zone. He was only 2 touchdowns behind Jordy Nelson. Randall Cobb is much more the short to intermediate guy, where Davante Adams can do more outside stuff. So I love the upside potential here. And Jordy Nelson's getting up there in age. He's my number 2 wide receiver on my board. But, he's up there. If he gets hurt, I think Davante Adams, we saw this experiment a couple years ago, didn't work out. Maybe this year, with where they are in their careers, it could work out incredibly well. That volume going to Davante Adams could make for an incredible value. Because Davante Adams...
You know what, Griffin?
Listen.
I'm arguing with
Jason,
myself here.
wait a minute. Jason, wait a minute. Let me take this one because I see where you're going. Griffin, you know why I love you? You know why I love you, man?
Because I hate myself?
Because you will talk yourself into heartbreak yet again.
I will. And I'm
that's
going to.
Exactly what you're doing with Davante Adams. He's going to give you what? He's going to give you some good games throughout the season. But when you need him in the clutch, he is going to turn on you so hard. And you are going to hate looking at that, maybe 0 points, or maybe a potential 15 points, but then there's a fumble, and he drops the ball and drops your points for you. He's going to break you. He will break you, and he's broken Griffin.
Entirely
Griffin
likely.
can tell you, he will break Griffin. You. So stay. I would tell you if you need a wide receiver, look elsewhere. please do not go get Devontae Adams. He will not be that dude for you. You can count on week after week.
Are you saying, though, that based on what he did last year and the situation he's in, that 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns is outside the realm of possibility?
I'm saying that he is a mirage. He's a mirage of what a receiver should be, but he's not that guy. He's not going to do it for you. I've seen it too many times. He's okay. He'll have that game against Chicago last year. What was like 3 touchdowns, 200 some yards, and then the next week he barely gets 3 catches. Like what the heck is that? The inconsistency is up and down with this dude. So you basically got to do Russian roulette with Devontae Adams and hope the Rams on black, because you don't know with this dude.
I mean, you beat me to a point I was going to say. The one thing is that he is very boom bust. He is a upside play. Jason, what are your thoughts? You're by far the lowest, which I loathe.
And you keep talking him up.
I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know why. I'm just drawn to Packers wide receivers.
Look,
it's Aaron Rodgers is what it is.
Right. Well, it's Aaron Rodgers. But you know what? Like I was going to say, you remind me of a girl that dates a guy that cheats on her, right? Yeah. And you catch him, and okay, wow. I'm sorry, it won't happen again. Okay, good. Then we'll stay together. And then he cheats again, and you keep believing him when he says it's the last time. It didn't mean anything, and you keep doing it over and over and over again. How many times does it have to happen to you until you realize the guy is a mirage? But yeah, he's got great numbers at the end of the season. You know who else had great numbers at the end of the season? Julio Jones did. But do you want him every single game? Not necessarily. So you don't take him that high. You take him lower than other players because you know he's good every now and then. Yeah, he'll bring you flowers every now and then and treat you nice every now and then, but he's still a bum. So please, for the love of all that's holy, drop this guy down your rankings a little bit. Get him at least out of the wide receiver ones. He doesn't deserve to be there, man.
That's a smidge.
He finished there last year. I'm just saying.
How'd he do for you?
He told me he loved me.
He
He bought
dropped
me something nice.
He dropped a wide open catch in the red zone, costing me a trip to the championship game, which I would have won. Yes, I know. But again, I'm thinking he takes a step forward. But if he doesn't, I mean, it's very easy that you can make the argument the other way, which is why this is a very polarizing player. I accept that. I know that. I hate him, yet the possibility, which I think is honestly kind of conservative, is why he stats out the way I have him. Because again, I don't make my rankings based on just, I think it'll be this guy, then this guy, then this guy. I do it with stats backing it all up. But he's going as the 19th wide receiver off the board, as the 6th pick in the 4th round. So I ask you guys, would you draft him in the middle of the 4th?
No.
Nope.
Wow. All right. Well, then I wish I could say more for me, but I hate him so much because he's burned me twice. All right, whatever. That's Devontae Adams. Look, he's polarizing a lot of people, and I see a lot of analysts around the country who have basically the range of outcomes that we are debating right now. Draft him at your own risk. Let's move on to number 16, which is a guy we mentioned earlier, DeAndre Hopkins, Houston Texans. Both CJ and I have him at 15. We both have dropped him to 15, but I can safely tell you by the time you're listening to this recording, he's probably going to have dropped even further for me. Jason, I don't know if I'm going to go as low as you, but it's entirely possible. You have him, and you did not move on him, all the way down at 22. So, Holy crap. Let's start with you, actually, Jason. 22. Why so low?
Why so low? Why so high?
I know, right?
He's got no quarterback situation. Okay. Now, I will say that young rookie is looking good. He's looking like he could be something. All right. And it still scares me. He's a rook, but he's the best situation. And I always say you go with the best quarterback situation.
I hope Watson wins that job.
Don't worry about.
Yeah, I do too.
Say that again?
I said I hope Watson wins that job.
I do hope Watson wins the job. I actually want to see that because I think he is their best situation for them and gives them an opportunity to have a high upside at that position. And if he does, then there's a chance I could raise DeAndre Hopkins a little bit in my rankings. But as I have said multiple times about this guy, the quarterback makes him a great receiver. And he's had bad quarterback play, and he's looked awful when he's had bad quarterback play.
Yeah, DeAndre Hopkins, man, if it wasn't for last year, we thought this guy was quarterback proof. I mean, this dude was going through two quarterbacks and yet was still performing week after week. And then Osweiler came in and just wrecked all of that. So I think this situation now, it's a little better. Savage is showing some moxie. I mean, I like his little comment, saying, I'm not going to let nobody take this opportunity away from me. I like that dog in him. But I think that the clear play here is Watson. And I think if Watson's on the field and you get a healthy Hopkins on the field, I think that's where your magic is. And I think that's where the fantasy points will be coming in. So, that's why I'm high on him. I just need him to get healthy. That hand thing is an issue. Kind of do need to catch the ball. So
with the problems going on with Will Fuller going down, I actually made an adjustment for DeAndre Hopkins, and I think he's currently at my wide receiver 21. So I don't know. I have to double check these stats and so I can reflect this on the website. But yeah, it's all the things that we're saying right now. And if you were with us last offseason, I was by far the most negative person on DeAndre Hopkins, and this was coming off his 1,500 yard and 11 touchdown season. And it's because the whole reason, and you can fact check this all you want, the whole reason he had such a good season was the first half of that year. The defense was playing horrifically bad. They were playing from behind. He's a high volume, force fed target. Is he very talented? Absolutely, but there's not amazing quarterback play. The offense needs some really helpful working pieces. He is most productive when he's getting the ball a lot. Now that Will Fuller's down, I don't know if he's going to be getting it. I mean, he's been injured for the almost entire month. There's a lot of reasons to be concerned about DeAndre Hopkins, and he's not necessarily, I mean, he's never missed a game, which is great, but he seems to always, I can't even say always, but he seems to be hobbled more times than not, so it's concerning. I don't know. I definitely feel like I have him up too high, but again, that's just where the stats have him at 15, but I've made some adjustments where he's moved down, but I don't want to commit to that ranking until I crunch some numbers. So I'll just, for the sake of argument, keep him at 15 right now, which even there, I feel like that's a good number if everything worked out, but I don't know how it's going to work out. If Watson gets the job and he's not afraid to force the ball downfield, I think you could easily return on that value, but, I mean, it all remains to be seen, and that's the concern. Very talented guy. Great hands, good red zone weapon, but how much will he be used? Do you guys have anything you want to add before we move on?
Nope.
All right, well, with that, let's go ahead and move on to our next guy, which is Golden Tate, Detroit Lions at number 17 for us. He's going as the 26th wide receiver off the board, as the 12th pick in the 5th round, basically a 6th-round pick. Why is everybody so low on Golden Tate, where we have him at 17, 19, and 16, respectively, all considerably higher than that? Jason, you're the highest. Let's start with you.
I think it's just that he's not one of those names that people get excited about. He's a high ceiling player, a high floor player. So people don't like that. They want the flashy guys and all that stuff. But you know what? This guy's plenty flashy for me. He's the number one target in Detroit since Megatron left. He's played very, very well. I like his rapport with the quarterback. And he's always there. He's reliable. I like reliable receivers. So I'm high on him, and I think really it's just name bias is all.
CJ?
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty. I like the rapport he's building with Stafford, man. For me, why I had him a little lower, man, I just looked at his schedule, man. Their schedule is pretty tough, man. I think he's going to have a big drop in his numbers that he had from last year, man, just because the stiffer competition. So that's me. But overall player, I think he's good and he works well with Stafford.
I mean, look, Golden Tate is the number one receiver in Detroit. He had a rough go of it. We talked about this a lot during the offseason last year. He was having a tough time transitioning to Jim Bob Cooter's offense. Once they got into the season, he started getting a feel for it, and he took off. After the first 3 to 4 games, he took the reins of that offense and never looked back. He topped 1,000 yards. He only had 4 touchdowns, which is the concern, but the main touchdown monster there was somebody talked about earlier, Anquan Bolden, who is now gone. Those touchdowns are going to go somewhere, and I think Golden Tate, being the main target of that offense, he's obviously going to absorb a couple of them. All of them? No, of course not, but he'll get at least a few more. So if we're talking about a 1,000-yard receiver who's going to get you maybe 6 or 7 touchdowns, let me see. I have him statted out to get 6 touchdowns right now, and that still very comfortably lands him where he is. If I give him an additional one, he jumps all the way up to my wide receiver 15. So, I mean, I think he could do better than that even. Second year in the offense. So, I like Golden Tate. I think it's just like you guys are saying. Golden Tate is not, and I don't think will ever be, and I hate when people say this term, but it's the best way to put it, the sexy pick at wide receiver. No one wants Golden Tate, at least, name value, his history. He's been in the league for, 7 years, and he's only had 2 really standout seasons. But the situation is really good this year in Detroit. So, I mean, I'll put it this way. He's going as, again, the 12th pick in the 5th round. Would you guys take him back of the 5th, early 6th?
Yeah,
Back of the 5th.
yeah, I would.
Yeah, I would as well. So, we all have him ranked higher than that, so of course we would. So, Golden Tate, great value as basically a 6th-round pick. Going as a flex option, as we mentioned, as the 26th wide receiver off the board. That's insane to me. At number 18, we have the one and only Larry Fitzgerald. Now, this is a guy who I am trying to move up my boards, and I want him up higher, and it disgusts me that he's as low as he is, because I know he's going to do better than this. I have moved him up from last time to 21, which is terrible. CJ has moved him down to 22. Jason, not surprisingly at all, has him all the way up at 12 as a wide receiver 1. So, I might live to regret this, but let's throw this to the Cardinals fan who has him the highest. Jason, tell me why Larry Fitzgerald needs to be higher in all of our rankings, where also, by the way, all 3 of us are higher than his ADP, where he's going as the 27th wide receiver off the board as the 2nd pick in the 6th round.
Hey-o.
Yeah, it's just disrespect for Larry Fitzgerald. I mean, the guy has been great for a very long time. He's always great. He led the entire league in receptions last season. Okay, come on, give me 27th. That's ridiculous. It's a couple of things. It's the year that they had last year, the year that Carson Palmer had last year, the fact that he's contemplated retirement. Anytime someone contemplates retirement, people automatically downgrade them in their minds. So all these things contributed to bring Larry Fitzgerald down people's boards. But you know what? That means he's going to be a steal for you. This is a guy that has obvious wide receiver 1, or at worst wide receiver high level wide receiver 2 output. Okay, he's going to get the lion's share of the receptions. That receiver core is a little shaky right now, so he's going to be the guy they always rely on. So I don't understand. I don't understand number 27. I get that people are going to cool on him. I get that you guys cooled on him. I'm a Cardinals fan, so I'm obviously going to put a lot of stock in him, watching him as long as I have, as good as he's been. So I fully expect him to have one of his best years of his career this year.
Okay, well, Jason, here's my thoughts, man. Okay, outside of David Johnson, are you concerned that he gets overworked? Because you said it yourself, the wide receivers, they're a little shaky. I mean, your best guy, John Brown, he's still dealing with the sickle cell thing. You don't know what's going to be with it, how available he's going to be, and the health going on there. So your only real, for sure, reliable guy you got is Larry Fitzgerald. But let's be realistic about this thing. He's no spring chicken. This is a veteran, aging receiver that's granted productive. But I'm afraid of him getting overused and he get burnt out in the middle of the season. And I still got 7 games left, and now he's basically done for me. So I'm a little nervous when it comes to that. I'm afraid that he'll get overworked, because I know that's him and Carson are boys, and that's one of the weapons he looked to go to outside of David Johnson. So I don't want him to get burnt out early in the season.
Yeah, I just gave him another touchdown on my ranking since we've been talking, which moved him up one more spot for me. So he's my wide receiver 20 now. Hey, exciting. Or actually, no, I moved him up. No, I got him up to wide receiver 19. Look at that. But yeah, I have him getting a little over 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns, which I think is very obtainable for him, and he might do a little bit better than that. But my big concern here is also what CJ just said. I mean, the man is 33 years old. He's going to be 34 at the beginning of the season. And, the last 2 years, he started off very strong, but he's kind of worn out as the season went on. You see this very gradual decline in his production throughout the season. So, another year older, that's really my only concern here, because he is an all-time great wide receiver. He deserves a lot more respect than he's getting going as late as he is on average draft position. I really like the guy, and I think he's going to be used. He's going to be the red zone wide receiver there, which is why I think that, honestly, I could probably give him another bump up, because he's the biggest guy there. He's got the best hands on the team. The concern is, just age and productivity. David Johnson's going to vulture a lot of work as well, both running and receiving. So it's just going to be interesting to see how the offense looks firing on all cylinders, because, again, if we go back to 2015, this was the number one offense in the league. So I don't know. It remains to be seen. But we also, with the decline of John Brown, I'm kind of having to rise on Larry Fitzgerald, because I think he's going to get back to being a high volume play again. And of course, these are standard rankings in PPR. Where's my rankings? In PPR, I have him going way higher than this. I think he's going in the high teens there. So yeah, Larry Fitzgerald. You're gonna love him or you're gonna hate him, but at the end of the day, he's gonna, I think, going to be everyone who takes him is gonna be happy. If you're taking him in the 6th round, I think he's gonna easily return on that value, which is where he's going right now. Let's move on to number 19, where we have Brandon Cooks. Where, man, talk about another polarizing player. He is dropped in our consensus rankings. He is dropped on average draft position. He's currently going at the back of the 2nd round as the 12th pick in the 2nd round, as the 11th wide receiver off the board, where CJ actually has him at number 11. Now, I have him all the way down at 25, and Jason has him at 19. So, oh man, I know I'm going to regret this one as well. But CJ, Brandon Cooks, talk to me.
Well, listen, I think that, I hear what Jason's saying, that, he wants to see it on the field. But, Belichick's a smart dude, man. He don't want to show you all his tricks, what's going on. I like what I've been seeing on the practice field with Brady and Cooks. And they got a nice little chemistry going on here, and he's fitting well in this offense when I see that. So I'm just going to go off of that and know that, hey, if we got a 3rd game coming up in the preseason, if they get to show off a little flavor of it, then I'm cool with it. But I know, and I feel good about what he's going to be able to bring and do in this offense. So, I mean, I'm okay if people want to keep sleeping on him and don't think he's going to do anything, and I can pick him up and just let the numbers speak for itself, for me, myself. So that's my feeling on Brandon Cooks.
I mean, it comes down to the fact that I think he's going to be filling the Chris Hogan role, where Chris Hogan was definitely their deep threat. He was, besides Rob Gronkowski, who averaged an astonishing 21.5 yards per catch last year, Chris Hogan was the one that he averaged basically 18 yards per catch. The speedster outside guy, that's what Brandon Cooks is. Now, is Brandon Cooks in a completely different league than Chris Hogan? Absolutely. But I think he's also, and we've talked about this extensively, he is a very boom-bust type guy. He's in a new offense, though, so that's going to change and be tweaked somehow. But by all accounts and everything we've seen in this offense in years past, this is a guy who stretches the field. He goes deep. But Tom Brady is not the quarterback who goes deep. He's one of the lowest deep throw percentages in the entire league, and he's getting just another year older. So, I mean, that's the concern here. Can Brandon Cooks do all the other routes? Absolutely, but that is who they have Julian Edelman for. They have Rob Gronkowski for. They have all these other receivers that is where they thrive, not to mention their pass-catching running backs as well. So I think Brandon Cooks is not going to be used in that role very often. He's going to be used to stretch the field and help all the underneath stuff happen, which is where this offense thrives. Is he going to have absolutely monstrous week-winning performances? Absolutely, but I think he's going to be incredibly boom-bust for you. Yeah, but it could go either way. But that's the way I see it, and I think there's a lot of stats to back that up. Jason, you split the difference. What are your thoughts?
Well, I agree with you on Tom Brady throwing the ball down the field. It's just not something he does all that often anymore. He can air it out. We saw it last season. He can air it out. So I expect him to do so with Brandon Cooks. But I think CJ is a year too early on Cooks. I think that it's going to take him some time to pry his way into this, into being a significant role in this offense. I still think it's going to be the Gronkowski and Edelman show. But Cooks, I think his main thing for this offense is going to be giving more points to Gronk and Edelman because he's going to stretch out the field a little bit. They have to respect him and drop back in coverage more often. And I think that those points are going to end up going elsewhere. So that's why I have him that low.
I 100% agree with everything you just said. I think he is. I think, in another year or two, Brandon Cooks could be a monster fantasy option. We've seen it in years past, but I just don't like it this year. Let's go ahead and move on to number 20, where we have Terrell Pryor, now of the Washington Redskins. We are low on him as a show as well. He is currently going on average as the 13th wide receiver off the board, as the 5th pick in the 3rd round. That just feels high to me. I know he's got a lot of upside, but I just can't get behind that. And I'm the lowest on him, so I'm at 23. CJ, you're at 20, Jason at 17. So, Jason, you're the highest. You didn't budge on him at all. Talk to me about Terrell Pryor.
I really like the quarterback situation he has right now. This is the best quarterback he's played with as a receiver. He showed us how good he could be as a receiver last year, and he's had a whole nother season, a whole nother off season to mature in that role. So I expect him to be a big-time pass catcher in this Washington offense. I expect him to become very quickly Kirk Cousins' favorite target to go to, especially deep. So, and he can do all sorts of things. He's not just a deep threat like we're talking about with Brandon Cooks. He can run every route, and he proved that last season. So I look forward to seeing him mature a little bit and climb these rankings.
CJ?
Yeah, I like the situation that he's in. I kind of feel like, everything I've been watching out of training camp and the plays that he's made, I'm very impressed. And as far as his role in his offense, I think that he's basically, fusioned and become Deshaun Jackson and Pierre Garçon for Kirk Cousins. Both of them in one player. I feel like he's done that. He can be able to stretch the field like Deshaun and be that possession guy in the middle like Pierre. And with those two combinations and being that versatile as a receiver, I think that's going to bode well for him, and he should have a good year this year.
My concern is literally just that he is still such a new wide receiver. I mean, he's a quarterback turned wide receiver. Last year, he was force-fed the ball. He had 140 targets last year and turned that into barely 1,000 yards and 4 touchdowns. Where you guys know who the next highest receiver on the team? Corey Coleman. Do you know where he came in?
Yeah, Coleman.
74 targets.
I do not.
Literally half the targets. So, I mean, Terrell Pryor, he was being force-fed the ball, and he had a decent year, but it was not an overwhelmingly outstanding one. Now, yes, I completely agree. He is in a better situation and a better offense with a much, much better quarterback. So, he could easily do much better than this, but he also went from being the only show in town to now being a part of a very muddled backfield. I'm not sure where he falls into line because, of course, we talk about Jordan Reed. Jordan Reed is Kirk Cousins' favorite target. When Jordan Reed is healthy, he gets a ton of those targets. Besides that, we have Jamison Crowder, who has an established rapport and was very productive when healthy last year. And we're all thinking Josh Doxson could come on, but I would take Terrell Pryor well above him. Yeah, and obviously not with what we're hearing right now, but I'm concerned that Terrell Pryor, though he might be the most versatile wide receiver that they have, he might be the second, third target in the progression, which is the only reason where he's going as the number 13 wide receiver off the board. That's a scary price to pay for a guy who could be very much Deshaun Jackson boom bust week to week. So, and that's the role that we're hearing he's going to be playing. So, I don't know. That's why I'm the lowest. Could he do better than where I have him at 23? I think easily. Will he do much better than 13? Possibly. It's just concerning to me, which is why I like him as a back-end wide receiver 2 with a lot of upside. I think he has a high ceiling, but his floor is what kind of concerns me week in and week out. Is that crazy to you guys?
Yeah, Crane, I can see that point. I can see it.
Yeah, I can see it.
All right, let's move on. Number 21, we have Demaryius Thomas. Let's try and pick up the pace. Last 4 guys right here. Denver Broncos. For reasons we've already talked about, I think we're all kind of low on him with this. It's all the quarterback situation in Denver, and the running situation seems to be pretty darn muddied as well. We are low on him as a show. His average draft position is 15. We have him at 21. Guys, really fast. Demaryius Thomas. Is there anything more to this other than the fact that there's just not an elite quarterback in Denver anymore.
Nope.
No, I just need to see. It's going to be on Trevor Siemian, man. If he can be able to take a big step year two to be able to bring some, fantasy points back to Demaryius Thompson and Emmanuel Sanders.
Yep. I mean, like I said, they don't have Peyton Manning anymore. The guys they have in there are not nearly that level. We think Paxton Lynch could get there in another couple years. He's developing. Trevor Siemian, we think we know who he is. But this is a run-first offense, run to set up the pass. But also what we're not pointing out here is that it is a new offensive system, which those things usually take 2 years to really get gelled. So, I mean, you have to take the upside there and maybe take it a step back, because Gary Kubiak's system was amazing for running and therefore setting up the deep pass, the play action, all of that. So now they're learning a new system, and that's why I just can't get behind Demaryius Thomas going a lot higher than this. Can he finish higher than this? Absolutely. We've seen him do it a lot in the past, but that was with Peyton Manning. So that's the concern here. We have him as a wide receiver 2, which is where he's going. We just have him a couple spots further down in our list. At number 22, we have Alshon Jeffrey, Philadelphia Eagles. We're a little bit low on him as a show as well. He's going as the 3rd pick in the 4th round as the 18th wide receiver. We have him at 22. For me, I am by far the lowest, and it's risk aversion. I think it's injuries. I am going to have to give him a bump now that Jordan Matthews is gone, though. CJ, you're the highest. Not surprising, because he is one of your Eagles as well. What's the upside here?
Upside there is just this relationship with him and Carson Wentz. They were a little shaky. There was what was that, week 2? Yeah, the week 2 preseason game, but from all the reports I've been hearing with them practicing against the Dolphins, they've been, got right the ship, and they've been looking crisp and clean. So I think you should be able to see like a real clear cut of what this relationship is going to be going into the season after watching this Dolphins game.
Jason?
Yeah, I like this player. I really do. From what I've seen from him, I love how he high points the ball. I like him overall, and I like his quarterback. The problem is he's new. They have not had a time to really gel together yet. So that's what worries me. But I think if he stays healthy, he's going to be a very nice contributor on this offense for sure.
Yeah, for me, again, just one final point. My concern is, again, injuries, risk aversion, and the fact that this is a team that threw for only 16 touchdowns last year. I think that's going to go up considerably, but that's a concern for me with a lot of wide receivers still in town and a tight end who is very good as well. Let's move on. Number 23, we have Keenan Allen, who we've moved down a couple spots since the last time we did this. We all have him in the mid-20s, but he's going on average as the 16th wide receiver off the board at the top of the 4th. Are we all just low on him because of injury, risk aversion, and the fact that for me at least, the last time we saw him play, he was very, very productive, but that's because he was the only show in town. Since then, they've added 3 big wide receivers and a running game. And another tight end, actually. So, why are you guys where I have him down in the mid-20s?
Yeah, risk aversion, injuries, a lot of talent is there. I love the player. I still think he's going to be a Phillip Rivers guy, but I mean, it's a little murky as far as all the talent that's there, and it can go. The dial can definitely go to the other way with him, being a boom bust there.
Oh, CJ, you started to break up there. I'll throw this to Jason.
I'm sorry.
Oh, there
you hear me now?
Yeah, there you go. Say it again.
Okay, I said the dial can basically go the other way, and Keenan Allen could be a boom bust player, or he can be that guy that was still Phillip Rivers guy and still getting those points. So it's up in the middle. He's got to be your guy. If you believe in him, you're going to get him and then go for it. And so, but that's basically me.
Yep. Jason?
Yeah, I've dumped on this guy quite a bit. I don't feel bad about it. I'm sorry, I don't. The bottom line is the guy has not done anything yet. He looks good in spurts and spots, but my problem with him is the same problem I've got with Jordan Reed. He's never available. And plus, as you've already mentioned, Griffin, they've added just a bevy of people around him that can catch the ball. So all of this concerns me for him, and that's why I have him pretty low, just risk aversion.
Yeah. I mean, do I think he's still going to be the wide receiver 1 on that team? Yes. But yeah, there's so many bigger red zone weapons and outside guys. I think he's going to be very intermediate, and I think he'll do some outside stuff. I think he'll be used all over the place, but there are guys that are just going to specialize in all the areas that he's going to be kind of a gadget player, I think. So I don't know. We could be wrong, but the injury risk is also what buries him for me. And then our number 24 wide receiver, who is literally here just because of Jason. This is a guy I am incredibly high on. I've been with Jason step for step with him, but I have moved him down my rankings based on everything we've been hearing with the sickle cell problems. You guessed it. It is John Brown, Arizona Cardinals. All the upside in the world. I think with upside alone, he could finish as a low-end wide receiver 1. But the injuries, the fact that we're hearing that he is in fact not right from the sickle cell trait last year, and his time that he's missed in camp thus far, all are reasons that have concerned me, that I've actually bumped him down to be a wide receiver 3/waiver wire type guy. CJ, you're even lower than I am, but Jason, you have him up at 18, which is what's driving him into our wide receiver 2s. So Jason, being the Cardinals fan, tell me why I'm wrong. Tell me why we should still have faith in John Brown.
I understand the concern, and this is something that I've been wrestling with myself. I've seen the upside of this guy. I've seen what he can do, and I just know how good he's going to be. The problem, of course, is the injuries, and he's been injured actually quite a bit in his career. So I understand all of that. For me, it just has to be faith in the organization, faith in the kid himself. Now knowing this sickle cell issue is there, being able to mitigate it, being able to figure it out. As I said, they've said that he looks good in practice. He's ready to play. This next game is going to be very telling to see how well he actually does. He'll probably only be in for a few series, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to limit his activity as much as they can so that he's fresh for games, so that he's got fresh legs. I think they're going to be able to do that okay, and I think they're going to make him a wide receiver too.
CJ, take us home.
Jason, your guy better not burn me this year. He better be healthy. You understand me? You understand me? I will come to his house, and I will find
him. He's off your bench.
Doesn't matter. I still need him to fill in for a bye week.
All right, so no analysis there at all, just a warning. All right, CJ's always quick to get the torches and the pitchforks. So with that, maybe we should make those jokes nowadays. But anyway, moving on to the fact that let's just get out of here. So let's run down those guys one last time. Our wide receiver 2s, Michael Crabtree, Amari Cooper, Devontae Adams, DeAndre Hopkins, Golden Tate, Larry Fitzgerald, Brandon Cooks, Terrell Pryor, Demaryius Thomas, Alshon Jeffrey, Keenan Allen, and John Brown. And by the time you are listening to this, there's a good chance that these are not accurate anymore because our website is constantly updating and changing. So make sure you guys check that out, thefantasyfootballfanatics.com, and then head over to the rankings section. But that's going to do it for us today. Please make sure you guys tune in on Friday when, of course, we're going into draft weekend. We are going to be doing our top tips and tricks to win your fantasy drafts. Remember, if you want to play against us in fantasy football, you have 2 days to submit your comment down below, iTunes review, whatever you want to do. You have 2 days to put your entry in, throw your name into a hat, and we're going to pick our winner. And then we're going to get ready to do a draft for this league. So again, whatever you got to do, make it happen. We are, again, subscribe to the show. We are live every single Tuesday and Friday on iTunes and Stitcher and YouTube and everywhere. Just make sure you guys check back every single time because we will be here. The Fantasy Football Fanatics. Just search for us. You'll probably find us. And if you want up-to-date information in between the shows, as always, we say follow us on Twitter at the FF Fanatics, or you can follow us individually. I'm at G Palmer FFF. CJ is at CJ Hickman 89. Jason is at Jason Cabrera 13. And with that, we're going to move on to our Patreon show, which is our wide receiver 3/flex option receivers. Any parting thoughts, fellas?
Draft time.
Woo!
Where's B. Jackson at? Is he in? Is B. Jackson in yet?
He is not in. All that trash he talked, and then he didn't respond.
All that trash talk.
Yep.
All that trash talk.
You scared him, TJ. You scared him away. See what happened?
Jive turkey.
Hey, come on now.
Now I'm going to have to go watch Semi-Pro. All right, that's the second Semi-Pro reference we made this show. All right, so we're out of here. Everyone take care. We will see you on Friday, if not at the Patreon show. Have a great week. Bye.
Life in the